Shador Sanders and Colorado sure make it look like we're calling the wrong coach in this conference prime time. Let's take a peek at the Arkansas MVPs, and the three deep at LB just took a hit, so they better be as good as I've been proclaiming them to be.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall, and I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. Go to 5-Hour Energy, get the pick-me-up you need today. Meanwhile, the pick-me-up we need is going to come in the variety of linebacker because All-American Collin Oliver is seemingly out for the season, or at least those are the preliminary style reports that we're getting, and there's no reason to not believe them, as we'll discuss a little bit further on into segment 3. But as it pertains to Collin Oliver, we may not have noticed how big of a loss it could potentially be because we had somebody throw on a Superman cape and step up in a major, major way. So before we talk about the fact that even though somebody did step up in that role, I don't know that that is going to be the perfect fit or the perfect scenario, which we'll talk a little bit more about as well. But as it pertains to the MVPs, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start off with the offensive MVP, and that's got to be our main man, Brennan Presley. 91 yards, just shy of that 100-yard mark. And of course, we all wanted him to get there, as I'm sure he did as well. And just shy of double-digit receptions, but he did double-digit in yards per reception at 10.1. He was all over the field. And realistically speaking, anytime we needed something big to happen, it seemed to be Brennan Presley that was making it happen. You got to tip your cap to Arkansas in a lot of areas. There was some areas that we, gifted or were gifted some things, but even when you receive gifts, you got to take advantage of them. The guy who seemingly took advantage of the most of the opportunities today or Saturday were Brennan Presley. So BP, you're the main man offensively. Congratulations and thank you. Defensively, I do know that Nick Martin won another weekly award in the Big 12, as he should have, for the defender or defensive player of the year. But I'm going to say that Obi Ezegbo is going to be the MVP for me defensively. His 9 tackles and 7 solo may not, break any records. But without Obi Ezegbo, I don't know that we end up in that position because it took some mixing and matching and a little bit of maneuvering by Bryan Nardo before we got the fourth quarter look that I think might make the most amount of sense moving forward. So that's offensively, Brennan Presley, defensively, Obi Ezegbo. Special teams, it's got to be our main man, Hudson Clark, because if you go back and watch that game, it's not like special teams made a huge difference. Logan Ward did have a big kick. He missed a little bit of a kick, which is maybe why I didn't give him the MVP here. So I got to give it to Hudson Clark because of that spin he put on the ball that caused their dude to drop it. I know that there was a guy at his feet, which obviously caused him to lose a little bit of focus. But we've talked about this previously with Tom Hutton and the way that Pro Kick Australia company kind of works on things in conjunction with the way Tom Hutton was showing Hudson Clark, or at least explaining to Hudson, this is how I did it. This is how I get that wicked spin on the ball, because Tom Hutton was famous at Oklahoma State for causing fumbles, especially in big-time moments. Look at Bedlam 2021. That was the Tom Hutton Australian special spin. And the fact that Hudson can roll right and roll left and use it with both legs, again, makes him a massive weapon. But if he doesn't put that funky Australian spin on it, then we likely don't have that turnover. And of course, turnovers were a massive part of this game. And realistically, one of the biggest reasons we're able to come back. Again, you have to capitalize, but you have to be able to put yourself in a position to capitalize. And we were able to do that. Coaching, I went back and forth here, right? I think that the first half may or may not even should count, right? But Kasey Dunn and Bryan Nardo both made marketable, or I'm sorry, what's the right word I'm looking for? Better, okay, adjustments in the second half. They made remarkable adjustments in the second half. Both of them did so. But defensively, I got to give this thing to Bryan Nardo here, because if we don't stop them, especially as much as we did in the third quarter, then it really doesn't give us the opportunity to climb back in the game. And furthermore, if we don't have the turnovers, especially from the defensive side of the ball, again, we likely don't end up with enough time to come back and win that ball game. So I got to give some credit here to Coach Bryan Nardo. You made the adjustments. Now, we've been saying this for a long enough time now that eventually we have to stop saying it. But fourth quarters, third quarters, if we can just piece it together and play 4 full quarters, we're going to be a juggernaut of a football team this season. We haven't done it yet. And thus far, Bryan Nardo's teams have been getting torched, at least statistically. You know, I say a lot, stats lives matter, but this is going to be one of the few times that we are going to kind of discard some of the stats here, because statistically speaking, we gave up so much that's going to be hard to recover from, right? Statistically, to end up top 10 in the country at the end of the season, that one game is going to be a very big preventative measure in that occurring. So we've got a lot of work to do. And now, unfortunately, we're down Collin Oliver, the All-American linebacker, who can both be a dynamic blitzing package, who was leading the country 2 weeks in a row and getting pressure to the quarterback. Unfortunately, he's gone. Thankfully, Obiezegbo was able to step up and fulfill a massive role for this Cowboys squad to get the W. But I don't know that he's going to end up filling that Collin Oliver role. I mean, he probably will, but I think it's fair, right? Another reason I give Bryan Nardo the MVP is because he was willing to make a decision that was probably extremely difficult. And if you look back, a large portion of that third quarter, Kel Daniels was on the sidelines instead of on the field. We were utilizing kind of different guys like Trey Rucker and Lyric Rawls to kind of disseminate the information and doing the quarterback spying. Now, as the game progressed, the latter half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, Kendall was implemented back into the game. And even though he did get burnt deep by Luke Haas, the Arkansas tight end, outside of that, he made some plays. He made the play at the end of the game that sealed the deal. It was a beautiful hit. He was able to launch into that running back and stop him dead in his tracks, which also allowed the rest of the gang to rally around. So he would have been short, most likely, of the line to gain no matter what, because of the hit laid upon him by Kel Daniels, a.k.a. the Predator. But, of course, the troops rallying makes a big difference. But that's kind of what I wanted to get to. Kel Daniels went from safety to linebacker, partially because of the weight, but partially because he had a propensity to get burnt deep a little bit. Then we've seen him as the boundary side defender more often than not, and it hasn't exactly worked out, right? It's one of those situations, again, where mentally his athleticism doesn't exactly get the opportunity to just shine. Now, the cerebral side of the game for him is going to have to continue to, upgrade in order for him to have a shot at the NFL. But if his role is simplified, that's when we see the better versions of Kel Daniels. And if his role is to either go here, or blitz, that might be the best recipe for him to be successful. I know that would now put him as a very undersized defensive end, but we saw what a very undersized defensive end Collin Oliver was as a freshman, and he was an All-American with 11.5 sacks. Kel Daniels is much better making quick decisions and allowing his physical specimen to just show forth. You cannot be almost 6'5", 6'4", 245 pounds, and have all of that athleticism, but just not see it come to fruition on Saturdays. I think that it would be a good idea to potentially explore the idea of putting Kel Daniels in that Collin Oliver role. I know that kind of stinks for Obiezegbo because he did so phenomenal. He deserves that spot. And Puasa Utu could have been a good person here for the special teams MVP. So we have some options, but that's the thing, is the versatility that we've been talking about all offseason. It needs to be able to show itself here. So whether it be Obiezegbo filling that role, or if it's going to be Kel Daniels, regardless of what we do, we know we have options, but I'm just wondering if the simplification role in that spot for Kel Daniels would be pretty reminiscent, athletically at least, of what we were getting from Collin Oliver. And he would be a little bit quicker than Collin to get out to the flats. We would at least presume that be the case. So this is definitely a big loss. This is going to hurt no matter what. You got to tip your cap to some areas, a lot of areas to Arkansas, just like you have to tip your cap to these MVPs for getting it done, because you got to learn to win. And a long time ago, this was the frustration for Cowboy fans, is we would lose these games, right? And just like you're seeing from the Arkansas fan base, right, the tweets and stuff is, well, why does Sam Pittman never know how to close out a game? That was Oklahoma State for like 60 years, right? So, I mean, we feel your pain, but at the same time, it's nice to be on this side of it. With some of the limitations in the first half, with Kasey Dunn and Bryan Nardo, Mike Gundy said a lot of the right things. He made a lot of the right moves, and he made some hay in the second half. Therefore, we're greatly appreciative of that. Basically, that's what it is. Tale of two halves, tale of two games. Call it what you want to call it. I don't know, but I know that wasn't great. What is great is feeling energized with 5 Hour Energy, of course. Whether you're just getting home from school or you're getting ready to head out on a road trip, guys, I travel all over the country for baseball and football and recruiting. So I try to stay pretty busy, and I need to pick me up here and there along the way, as do you. No matter what it is, if you're trying to get household chores done, you're trying to get something squared away for the kids before they get home from school, or you're simply just looking to maximize the most energy you have in your day, 5 Hours is going to have you covered. Get in the zone. 5 Hour Energy gives you shots and a feeling of alertness and energy that you almost can't get anywhere else, and what you need to get in the zone. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it is the perfect pick-me-up for you to get stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and many more. Try them all. When you get them squared away in your esophagus, you can pick the best to put together your 12-pack or your 24-pack. Choose the flavors and have it delivered right to your door. 5 Hour Energy is the best pick-me-up in the game, so make sure you go to 5hourenergy.com. That is the number 5, hourenergy.com, and get some 5 Hour Energy product in you today. You can use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, but make sure that you go to 5hourenergy.com today to get the best pick-me-up in the game. You can thank me later, and you can thank yourself with that pick-me-up. The Cowboys might have the opportunity of getting a pick-me-up against Tulsa this weekend, but we got to talk about the tale of two halves, or as I like to name it, the tale of two games. Because realistically, that's what it was. And no, we're not doing a film breakdown today. We'll save that for tomorrow, on top of maybe some of the grades. But if you guys listen to my halftime grade, I felt like, I was pretty accurate, right? We gave an F to the D-line. We gave an F to Alan Bowman, an F to Bryan Nardo, an F to Kasey Dunn. It was just all around abysmal performance. I don't want to say effort per se. They did exactly what Mike Gundy had told us they were going to do, which was be extremely physical and try to turn this thing into a slobber knocker. That's what happened. And also the one thing that I wanted to avoid happened at the same time, which was the track meet. So it was a slobber knocker up front and a track meet in the back end, and it seemed to be a track meet we weren't prepared for, not only offensively, but also defensively, which is precisely why I say this is just a tale of two entirely different games. I don't even know that you could give an overall grade and it make a whole lot of sense, because if you grade the first half and everybody almost gets solid Fs except for the offensive line, then by and large, if everybody got A pluses in the second half, which did not happen, but even if they did, it would all round out to like a C, maybe a D plus whenever you factor in multiple things outside of the offensive line. They were about the only consistent thing in this game. Arkansas had a phenomenal game plan. They had the same game plan to stop the run as South Dakota State University. So this is now something that Coach Charlie Dickey is going to have to figure out. Much like Bryan Nardo, we don't really give a hoot if you sleep or not. Love you to death. You sign up for the job and something is not getting done. Now, pass protection is a completely different game. Though it's 8 of the last 11 games that Oklahoma State has not allowed a single sack in, or maybe it's 8 of the last 12. But you get the picture. Two teams had a phenomenal game plan to stop Ollie Gordon in the run game. We have to now find a way to nullify whatever it is they're doing. And again, we're doing the kind of film session stuff tomorrow. But that's kind of what I wanted to accentuate here is how do you grade this game? Because if you don't separate the first half and the second half, I don't know that you're going to get a fair barometer, because they were in two entirely different things. From the first half, why on 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, we were dropping 8. I know that statistically that, seems like a good idea. But you can't let a quarterback like that have all day to run around. So that was disheartening. Kel Daniels has the spy style of role. That was disheartening. Again, second half was just an entirely different game all the way across the board. There was nothing in the second half that was replicated from the first half. And you got to tip your hat to both Kasey Dunn and Bryan Nardo for the third quarter performances, just like you have to tip your cap to somebody like Kel Daniels for coming up with that stop. But we do have to tip our cap to Ollie Gordon. I'll admit it was unexpected to see that. I expected Texas to have the ability to slow Ollie down to the degree that he did because of the injury. I didn't see a fully healthy Ollie Gordon having the same problems, but that's what happened. So Texas had the right recipe for success, just like South Dakota State did, just like Arkansas did. And again, that's not a big surprise. This is the same Bobby Petrino that was in charge of the A&M squad last season. I know it's a little bit different as it pertains to the bowl game, but nonetheless, I just wanted to point out, seemingly obvious, doing the grades on this doesn't even really make sense because of the dichotomy between the two halves. They were just everything was different. Every part of the game, every aspect on the field was entirely different in the second half. So kudos again to Bryan Nardo and Kasey Dunn, because previously we wouldn't have been able to make the adjustments to get it done. We didn't make any adjustments seemingly in 2022. So we do have a very good barometer for this level of success. But this is the new age style of stuff that Oklahoma State fans can use to continually get more and more excited. The things that we used to fail to do, we are now doing. We used to be able to fail to win games. Now we're winning lots of games. Then we were unable to win the big games. Well, now we're starting to do that because we've won 2 of the last 3 bedlams. We own Texas for the better part of 15 years. And our recruiting has seen a little bit of an uptick, especially recently. With the continuity in coaching, with these kind of W's, we should continue to see more. Guys, I called this a must win. Part of that being because of the recruiting connections that Sam Pittman has with the state of Oklahoma. And the fact that we have traditionally been recruiting against Arkansas for a lot of our heavy hitters, it ain't going to change anytime soon. So if you have to have a little bit of bragging rights, and seeing as how we don't play them again to 2027, these are the bragging rights that we need to have. We needed to have this game for a multitude of reasons. Another big part of the tale of 2 games was there was a significant amount of potential commits and recruits and official visits and unofficial visits at that game for a multitude of sports. There was a bunch of softball potential Cowgirls there as well. And I'm assuming most of them were ready to go at halftime. Thank goodness you stuck around. Thank goodness this is a 4-quarter ball game, even though it was 4 quarters and some overtimes that honestly probably shouldn't have even got there. No, there's no probably. They shouldn't have got there. So it is kind of ironic whenever you see some, I'm not going to say it's an overabundance, but there's some Arkansas fans, of course, hooting and hollering about the refs. I find that crazy. They were SEC refs to begin with. And secondarily, they tried to do a portion of giving to them. I mean, let's be fair. It is what it is. That game should have never even gotten to overtime. But anywho, before we finish off here strong in this segment, there's something I gotta tell you real quick about, of course, Ibata. Ibata is one of those things that can help you on your day-to-day struggles, whether it be, again, the parenting, you're buying groceries, or you're buying school clothes. All of this stuff naturally has a way of adding up. Ibata allows you to stress less, no matter what portion of the year it is for you. Whenever you're looking to capitalize on your financials, whether it be sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids, or if you're just looking to stock up on the fridge, Ibata is going to help you out today. You won't have to choose between burgers and hot dogs or pizza and barbecue sauce. You can get all of it. You can get all of it because of Ibata. It's a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries, beauty supplies, toys, and many, many more things for you to choose from. Find a way to beat inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Ibata is the app that'll help you do that. Other apps will, of course, give you some points, but they don't amount to much. With Ibata, you earn cash back that you can withdraw from your bank account, PayPal, or with gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and bada boom, bada bang, bada bang, the money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores like Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibata and using the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE when you register. Go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app and start earning cash back and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, all one word. That's Ibata. In the Google Play or the App Store, use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE to get squared away with the best in the game and helping you not only remain sane, but hang on to some of that change with Ibata. All right, Oklahoma State has plenty of opportunities, but thankfully, we get to have the conversation of a primetime Mike Gundy. I know Deion Sanders is called Primetime, and he did earn that nickname quite some time ago, but he might not be the Primetime anymore, or at least he shouldn't be the Primetime of the Big 12. Mike Gundy is, again, just turning new leaves over on how he's talking to the media. The fact that he's being more open and upfront and talking about the injury, the Collin Oliver thing. For 19 years, Mike Gundy would have said, I'm not going to talk about that. For the first time, maybe ever, he gave everybody an upfront answer, and he said, I think he's going to be out for the year. And that is such a massive announcement by Mike Gundy because he never talks about injuries. So the very few times he has been somewhat open about the injuries, you can pretty much guarantee that what he's saying is going to be the truth. Because he has no reason to give us any fluff now when for 19 years he refused to talk about these sort of things. I love this Mike Gundy. I love the conversation or the comments about Ollie Gordon because he was defending his player and he was saying something that was logical. Maybe not right, but logical. I love the fact that he was able to talk about the QR codes and, do it with a little bit of anger in his voice. That's the Mike Gundy that we've all grown to love, especially more and more and more so this season. And now this new Mike Gundy just keeps giving. And I haven't listened to the most recent interview, but this Mike Gundy that we saw in the post-game press conference is phenomenal. Not only giving us injury stuff, but being open about the referees and calling them out instead of tiptoeing through the tulips for the SEC refs that, again, were SEC refs that tried to tell him something was not legal when it was something that he and everyone on the staff that had conversations and through the spring and the fall, whenever you do the scrimmages and you pay refs from all over, those conversations all said that this was fine. You can send somebody in motion that away. And there's never been a day in the new age landscape of college or pro football that you can jump in the neutral zone and it not be a big deal. So that happened. And then the clock run off. He was honest about that too, as he should have been. He should not have, again, tiptoed around, oh, there's a SEC crew. I'm just not going to talk about it. He needed to talk about it. It needed to be discussed. Because it was, I don't know that it was a purposeful, almost screw job, but that if that gets called, that's ball game. There is no overtime, which means there's definitely no double overtime. Now, the intensity of the game made it kind of fun, and the outcome made it even more so. And no matter what, I do think that this is a game that needs to be played year after year after year after year. I want it in baseball. I'm all for it in basketball, even though I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to get back up to, where we're supposed to be in basketball. But, of course, this football game, it being a double overtime, did add a different layer. The whole thing was crazy. And before I skedaddle on off of here, love this Mike Gundy. I think this is the best version of Mike Gundy I've ever seen in my life, and I don't even really think it's very close. I think we saw portions of it last year. This is the prove it moment, and he's doing just that. Arkansas, for as much as you're going to hear that was a gift that they just handed us the entirety of the game, and as much as you're going to hear, some other crap about how it should have been 2-10 or whatever. Again, you do have to do more than enough to win. We did have to put up almost 400 yards through the air to get the win. We had to have multiple turnovers that we earned to get the win. But I think most of us are going to be Arkansas fans from here on out. And if you're contemplating whether you're not going to be one, I'll tell you, look at it this way. If they go to the SEC and are competitive for the SEC title, or at least competitive for the appearance of SEC title game berth, that does nothing but benefit us. It helps Oklahoma State the more successful Arkansas is. And when they learn to clean things up a little bit more, they have the talent to keep pace with everybody in that league. I mean, Georgia seems to be at a class above most everybody, but crazy stuff happens. Alabama looks very susceptible. I don't even know if they play, but I know they can beat LSU. I know they can beat Auburn. I don't know that Ole Miss, Texas, and Tennessee are gettable, but everybody else on their schedule is 100% gettable. And I don't know that I firmly believe in Tennessee quite yet, so that might even be a winnable game. But that Arkansas team is a lot better than we had thought. They're a lot better than the SEC country wants to push them out. But I think the polls are an indication that the people who watch the game, who understand football, understood that the speed, size, strength of Arkansas is 100% ready to go and good enough to contend with anybody. So go Hogs for the rest of the season. You're going to boost our resume, strength of schedule type things. And I actually think you're that good of a ball club. We needed some breaks, but we had to take advantage of them, and we had to earn our spots to score enough touchdowns to win the game. So, until next time, I reckon that's all we're going to have for this one right here. I'm about to hop on a live Arkansas show here pretty quick, so go check that out if you get bored. As always, God bless. Go Pokes, and thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. Podcast from people out there. You know what to do. Hit the stars, leave a review. You're the bricks, the butter, the bread, the foundation, the fondue. You're all of it. Hit the stars. Do what you do. Leave a review. All righty. Later, my taters.